Hey guys, and welcome to another video. In this video we are going to talk about why is Ford leaving India. I am categorizing this video into different topics like brief history, Ford's fall, why Ford stopped in India, Ford's service and future in India, about Mustang Mach-E in India. Now talking about the history, Ford is the second largest family controlled company in the world, as the Ford family have controlled the company since its founding over 110 years ago. They also manufactured the only car Jim Morrison ever owned, a 1967 Shelby GT500. Henry Ford built his first experimental car in a workshop behind his home in Detroit in 1896. After formation of the Ford Motor Company, the first Ford car, the original Model A, was assembled at the Mack Avenue plant in July 1903. 5 years later, in 1908, the highly successful Model T was introduced. Demand for this car was so great that Ford developed new mass production methods in order to manufacture it in sufficient quantities. Under Henry Ford II's leadership, the company introduced such models as the Thunderbird 1954 and the Mustang 1964. In 1989-90, Ford acquired Jaguar, a British manufacturer of luxury cars. Aston Martin became a wholly owned subsidiary in 1993. Ford also purchased a significant share of the Mazda Motor Corporation. However, as Ford struggled in the early 21st century, it began selling these brands. Ford sold Hertz in 2005 and Aston Martin in 2007. It sold Jaguar and Land Rover to Tata Motors Limited of India in 2008. Ford started selling its Mazda shares in 2008 and completely divested in 2015. If you want to know more about Ford's history, you can watch Ford vs Ferrari movie that was launched on 30th August 2019. Now talking about Ford's fall, in December 2008, US President George Bush announced an emergency financial rescue plan to aid the big three automakers, Chrysler LLC, General Motor Corporation, and Ford, to prevent the collapse of the country's struggling auto industry. The plan made immediately available $13.4 billion in government loans from the Troubled Assets Relief Program or TARP, a $700 billion fund approved by Congress to aid the financial industry following the subprime mortgage crisis. The loans would allow the auto companies to continue operating through March 2009, when they were required to demonstrate financial viability or return the money. An additional stipulation required the companies to undergo restructuring. The money was initially made available to General Motors and Chrysler. Ford purposefully possessed adequate funds to continue operations and thus did not immediately require government relief. Able to avoid bankruptcy, for which both General Motors and Chrysler filed, Ford experienced increased sales and market shares in 2009. The growth was partially due to the federal government's Cash for Clunkers plan, which gave consumers up to $4,500 towards trade-ins of older cars for new fuel-efficient models. In addition, Ford adopted various cost-cutting measures and focused on stronger brands. In 2010, the automaker sold Volvo to the Chinese company Zhejiang Geely Holding, and several months after, Ford announced that it would discontinue its Mercury line. However, as the sales became sluggish, the automaker looked to expand its products. In 2016, Ford Smart Mobility was created to develop car-sharing ventures and self-driving vehicles, among other initiatives. The following year, the automaker announced that it was increasing its line of electric cars. However, in 2018, Ford announced that it was phasing out all its passenger cars, except the Mustang and Ford Focus Active. Instead, the company was going to focus on SUVs, crossover vehicles, and pickups like Ford F-Series, which were the best-selling vehicles in United States in the late 20th and the early 21st centuries. Now let's talk about why Ford stopped in India. The Ford EcoSport and Figo was the leading cars being sold here in India, but due to rising competition from other manufacturers, Ford sales were going down. In order to continue producing cars in our market, Ford's only realistic option was to enter a collaboration or joint venture with another car maker in India. The American car maker even entered a joint venture with Mahindra, and Mahindra with the official announcement in October 2019. However, that deal collapsed soon after on December 31, 2020. Given that the joint venture was almost 3 years in the making, Ford had already structured many of its future plans around it. This backfired quite significantly for Ford, as without the joint venture, it had no new models for the near future, with the plants continuing to be underutilized. So as a result, Ford has decided to shut down Sanand and Maraimalai Nagar plants. There are a variety of reasons for Ford pulling the plug on its manufacturing operations in India at Sanand and Maraimalai Nagar plants. But the key reason is that plant capacity utilization has been unsustainably low. Combined, the two facilities have a capacity of producing 4 lakh units annually, though in recent times Ford has only managed to produce 80,000 cars, that is 20% of the capacity, with half of those being made to export. Such low output figures paired with the fact that the Sanand plant that was originally built to meet Ford's global standards means that it has been too expensive to make cars for our market profitably at the said plant. Now let's move on to the service and future for the Ford customers in India. The move to shut local production will certainly hit existing owners. However, Ford has committed to continue full support operations with the service, aftermarket parts and warranty services. The dealers too will be operational, as the network would still exist to support the CBU business, where the CBU refers to the cars that are assembled in a foreign country that are subsequently imported into the local market as a complete operable vehicle. However, the customer touchpoints may reduce, especially in smaller towns. The current models that are selling in India are Aspire, Figo, Freestyle, EcoSport, Endeavour, etc. Ford could bring in models such as the Mustang, which was announced, and also other vehicles like the Bronco and other EVs, and even the Ranger pickup truck, for which the carmaker already had an India launch plan. And finally, let's talk about the Mustang Mach-E. Ford has confirmed the Mustang Mach-E for India. After leaving many of us emotional by announcing its restructuring plans, Ford India is reinforcing the statement of selling niche imports in the country. Ford has confirmed the Mustang Mach-E will be one of the cars to arrive at the Indian shores as CBU, along with a promise of the relaunch of Mustang GT. The Mustang Mach-E is the first all-electric SUV from Ford. The standard Mach-E is powered by a 75.7 kW battery, along with an electric motor delivering 262 bhp and 414 Nm of torque. It has a range of 370 km on the American EPA cycle. The full-fat Mach-E GT, on the other hand, gets an extended range of 491 km. It is powered by 88 kW battery and produces 480 bhp and 860 Nm of torque. The standard Mach-E GT can accelerate from 0 to 100 in just 5.2 seconds, while the GT on the other hand can do the same in only 3.8 seconds. Now, as a conclusion, Ford has announced that it will continue to have a presence in India and will increase its business solutions team and will support Ford globally. The company also said via its release that India will remain Ford's second largest salarized workforce globally, and in addition to Ford Business Solutions, Ford India will continue engine manufacturing until Q2 2022 for export. So thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, hit the like button and comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Feel free to share this video with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to get our latest updates.